welcome to Library Connection. I'm Mandy Cantrell from the B.B. Comer Memorial Library here in Sylacauga. Before I get started, I want to thank TV47, Chris, everyone who helps us put on our program. We appreciate it very much. All right, today I'm talking with Kate Barton. You are the counselor at Pinecrest Elementary.
Yes,
right? Great. Well, thank you for coming in this morning.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. We're going to talk about school testing. I know that kind of makes me nervous from the days when I had kids. Yeah, but there are so many good things about it and ways that parents can help and test results and all those kind of things. So that's what we're going to cover a little bit. So, okay, before we get started, tell us about yourself.
My family moved to Sylacauga in 2012, and we have been here since. I actually came from my husband's job and started working at Nichols-Lawson Middle School.
Yes.
And moved to Pinecrest, and now I serve as a school counselor.
Good, good. All right. I love Pinecrest. It's where I went to school and where I taught school.
Both of my kids, my son's now at Nichols-Lawson Middle School, and my daughter is currently with me at Pinecrest, so it's nice having her with me.
It's a great school, great faculty.
It is.
So you've worked in schools for how long?
I'm my 15th year.
Okay,
so I've served as a 4th grade general education teacher. I've been a middle school reading interventionist, an elementary school reading interventionist, and now I'm a school counselor.
Wow. Okay. That's
a little bit.
Now, so you're the counselor. What are your duties as a counselor, which could probably fill the entire 30 minutes, I know.
Probably so. In Sylacauga City, our counselors are really blessed with supportive administration that kind of helps to manage our workload to a degree. But all of us are, our primary goal is to support the well-being of students, whether it's socially, emotionally, academically, behaviorally. To work with the whole student and look at them as a whole student. We also work with our teachers and our parents to support them as needed. Yeah.
Full time, I know.
It is full time.
Very busy.
Yes.
I know. Does school testing come under, like state testing?
It does, yes, ma'am. Most of our buildings, our school counselors are involved as building testing coordinators. We're all very lucky to have backup building testing coordinators to help us in our efforts for organization and different things like that. But yes, ma'am.
Well, that is quite a job. I know all of that.
It is daunting.
but there are a lot of wonderful things to be learned from school state testing. And when I know it's February now, but it'll be coming up pretty soon. I think I tried to have Kate last year on TV, and by the time I called you, you were right in the middle of testing. There was no way you could leave the school. I completely understand. Yes. So I tried to get you earlier this time. When does testing start, or is it all year?
We've actually already begun state testing. We just finished our Access for ELL students, which is our English language learners, and their English proficiency assessments. But state testing is ongoing. At a local level, we give iReady assessments that are our formative assessments that help us drive instruction, working towards ACAP, of course, in the spring.
Okay.
So we will have our ACAP alternate assessment for our students who are on alternate learning standards coming up in March, and then we begin our summative ACAP assessment in April.
Wow. And I'd like to go back and talk about some of that. That's a mouthful.
It is.
I forgot the first thing you said is that the test scores drive instruction. Kind of explain what that means.
So when we look at our iReady test scores, it gives our teachers a lot of valuable information.
Is that reading or?
It's actually reading and math. Parents might be familiar with the STAR assessments that were given in the past. They are computer adaptive assessments, meaning as the students answer questions correctly, their score goes up, and as they answer questions incorrectly, the score goes down, along with the difficulty of the question. So it kind of helps find a level where the students are, and then the teachers are able to use that information to identify the standards that students might need some additional support in, or standards that they've already mastered, and those students might serve as peer tutors or not need that small group instruction.
So it's not just the final number score, it's the different parts of it. They need help in different areas.
Yes, it actually gives us domain scores that allows the teachers to hone in on what the student specifically needs help in.
Which drives their instruction. That is great, geared for every child. That is wonderful. Now, what you said, it's mostly reading and math. Is anything else tested?
So ACAP,
ELL. I know
yes, of course, English proficiency for our EL students. But we also, we assess ACAP 2nd through 8th grade. And all grade levels are assessed in ELA and math. But we have the addition of science in grades 4, 6, and 8.
Okay.
So we have some science assessments sprinkled in throughout the years
All right.
there as well.
That is it. Well, the big question is, why do we test? And we touched on it with the instruction,
Yes.
but why do we test?
Why do we test? That's a good question.
That's a big question, I know.
It is. Our state assessments are given as an indicator of reading and math proficiency.
Right.
It helps us evaluate our programming. It helps us evaluate our instruction in the classroom.
Okay.
It's a good indicator of how our students are trending as far as their reading and math proficiency.
Right. Okay. Well, that's a lot.
It is. It is.
Good.
But we're lucky that that test only happens once a year.
Yeah.
We do have our checkpoints of I-Ready throughout the year, which are valuable for our teachers, like I said, to drive instruction, but also to let our students get accustomed to state testing and accustomed to that high stakes environment.
Right. That's true. That's one thing. I know I've heard the phrase in the past, oh, they teach the test. And I thought, no. But if you know these skills are on the test, you have to teach those skills. Because you want them to do well.
Yes, ma'am.
I know from when I taught 5-year-olds, coloring in the bubble, we had to practice that.
Right.
That's not natural.
That's taking skills.
Yeah, that's just a color, but how to mark the correct answer. So much goes into it. I know.
It does. We in Alabama, we have a state-specific assessment. So what that means is it was written specifically for Alabama, meaning that the only thing assessed are grade level standards that our teachers are teaching as part of their job. They're teaching those day in and day out.
Yes.
So it's not so much teaching to the test like people might think. It is teaching the state standards, and then therefore they're being assessed on those state standards at the end of the year.
And they're going to teach them anyway.
Absolutely.
No matter
Right.
what. Yeah.
Yes.
But the scores just help drive who needs more help and things
Yes.
like that.
It's more of an allows for a more individualized approach in the classroom.
Okay. Wow, that's great. It's mind-boggling to me, all that goes into it. But
Yes.
that's great. Well, we're going to pause for commercial break, and we'll be right back and talk some more with Kate.
A funeral service represents a family's final farewell to their loved ones. Knowing this, we go beyond what is expected to ensure the ceremony is beautiful and memorable, a truly fitting tribute to that special life. We invite you to visit us to meet our staff and tour our renovated facility complete with a new dining area and catering services. We've been serving the people of this area for over 40 years, and we think that you'll be pleased to find that making lasting impressions remains our first priority. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, Sylacauga, Childersburg. Coosa Valley Medical Center, one of the top 10 hospitals in Alabama, is also Sylacauga's largest employer. Services from the emergency room, to surgery, to cancer treatment, to post-stroke care. You won't believe what's right in your backyard. It's Coosa Valley Medical Center in Sylacauga. So, if you're sick in Alabama, choose one of the top 10 hospitals in Alabama. That is Coosa Valley Medical Center.
Welcome back to Library Connection. I'm talking with Kate Barton. She's the school counselor at Pinecrest Elementary, and that is grades 3 through 5.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct? Okay, yes. We've been talking a lot about testing and what all goes into testing and what to use the scores for, things like that. What can parents do to help their children get ready for the test? Not be so stressed. I know a lot of children are really stressed, or we hear the phrase, oh, my child doesn't test well. And yes, that's true. Some people don't.
Right.
What are things that parents can do?
So much like we talked about, our teachers work with our students, throughout the year on those assessments, or preparing for the assessment on those standards. Parents can also do the same. They can reinforce, the skills that are being learned in the classroom. I know all of our teachers, you send home those weekly newsletters with what skills they're going to be working on. Limiting homework so that they can, spend some time. Living life and reinforcing all those skills they've done in the classroom. making sure the students are at school. Attendance is a
yes.
huge indicator of academic achievement for our students. And we do struggle, to make sure that our students are at school. Of course, sickness happens. Mine's
Yes.
sick right now, so nobody understands better than a parent. But, being at school when you're able to
Yes.
regularly, and then just the week of testing, making sure they come to school on time, well rested, having had breakfast. We're lucky that all of our students can eat breakfast at school.
That's
so
great. That's
we make
great.
sure our wonderful cafeteria staff kind of looks at our testing schedule and makes sure they're getting extra nutritious meals scheduled that week. So
good.
we're very lucky in that department as well.
It takes the whole team at the
It
school,
really, yes,
doesn't
it really
Yeah.
does. It's everybody. We share our testing schedule, even with the maintenance department.
Okay.
We do. Dr. Rivers does a really good job of making sure they're
Good.
informed. Hey, we're testing, so there's no, additional maintenance.
Yeah.
Don't
Don't be
going
banging on
just
things.
distracted. No
Right.
banging on things. No
Yeah.
cutting the grass. Things like that to make sure our
Wow.
students are able to really focus and do their best. And like you said, kind of reduce that anxiety to a degree where
Yes.
there's not that extra commotion going on.
Right, right. Which is hard because there's always people in and out walking in the halls.
Not during testing.
And that's right. I remember we couldn't walk down the hall, but that is true.
Yeah.
I mean, you do need a nice, quiet,
Yes.
comfortable. Wear comfortable clothes and
Yes.
get enough sleep is a big
Right.
deal.
Wear
I
a
think.
jacket.
Yeah.
If the room gets chilly, we don't need anybody focused on the fact they're cold or too hot. Different things that parents can do to just help make their child comfortable, and then just reassuring them that you're more than that test score. It's not just
Yes.
about the results. It's more about your effort and the preparation that went into it than that individual result.
I'm glad you said that because I know sometimes we look at test scores like, oh, they're just
Yes.
the world just rides on this, and they are important. They're
are,
very
yes.
important because it drives instruction. It helps teachers and parents know where their children
Mm-hmm.
are, how they're performing, where they need help. But children are so much more than that. How do you get that across to kids?
We work really from day one in encouraging our students to do their best in everything that they do. It is difficult when, of course, students don't necessarily always see the importance of every single activity,
Oh,
but
sure.
every activity is designed, with that endpoint in mind, and we focus on encouraging our students to always do their best in everything.
Yes.
And that includes, of course, classroom assessments
Yes,
and weekly assessments
everything.
and things like that, which then we hope in turn translates to putting forth their best effort on that state test. But we work for it, setting them up for success with a, supportive and encouraging
Yes,
environment,
yes.
And different things like that. So.
That's great because I'm glad you said it's not just this test. It's do your best in every single thing you do.
Yes, and then it just becomes a habit. So.
Boy, that's great. I like that. I never thought of it quite that way. Well, I know a lot of talk has been said about the Literacy Act, and that is, and I know you don't teach third grade.
No.
If they're not reading on a third grade level, the children don't advance. Maybe I'm not saying that correctly.
So the law was passed in 2019, and it aims to improve reading proficiency in grades K through 3. So it really starts, while I'm at Pinecrest, it does start at Indian Valley.
Right.
And those teachers do an excellent job of making sure that our students come, prepared for facing those third grade standards. Luckily, our kindergarten and first grade students are not assessed, but Indian Valley students in second grade do take ACAP.
Okay,
So it's an early exposure. And then when they come to third grade, we do have the literacy log, kind of breathing down our necks as far as that assessment score. The good news is a student who does not make the reading cut score, which is kind of a derivative score, it takes certain questions from the different ELA assessments in third grade to determine that score. We have our teachers work throughout the year to put together a learning portfolio that kind of acts as a backup for that reading cut score, and then also our students are invited to attend summer programming that they will take then the ACAP supplemental, which is another opportunity to demonstrate grade level proficiency.
Yeah, and the schools did very well last year. And one thought, I guess I hadn't thought of this part, even having taught school, I didn't think about this part. It's not just about the testing, it's equipping the teachers, the extra training that they've received to help those children reach that goal. So I don't know, they're given the tools to
Yes.
make that happen and to help the students. So
Yes, we are very lucky in Sylacauga City, and I'm sure the county is as well, to have wonderful instructional coaches in our building, reading coaches, math coaches, to work with our reading and math teachers, to come up with those strategies to support students. But it starts with even our instructional assistants that go into the classroom to aid students, our special educators, our administration, everybody. It's truly our interventionist. It's truly a team effort.
it does take an entire school, doesn't
It does. It takes a school village.
Yeah, and partnerships with parents. I
Absolutely.
mean, because they're their first teacher and spend more time with them.
Absolutely. Partnering with stakeholders, our community, our parents, like you said, keeping them informed. We will begin shortly inundating parents with information about the upcoming ACAP test. It's coming. It's coming.
Well, we always are encouraged. Y'all are encourage your kids to come to the library and get
Absolutely.
books and participate in our summer reading club, trying to keep children's reading intact, their skills intact over the summer, because you do lose it if you don't. If
Summer
you don't
slide
use
is real.
It. Summer slide is real. You're right. So I always appreciate what all of you do with the city and the county and all the schools around supporting us and promoting our programs. So that's great.
Yes.
What about? We already talked about test anxiety and things like that. What about students with special needs or accommodations given for them for testing?
Absolutely. So we actually will begin our accommodated ACAP assessments for students who do receive accommodations earlier than we do our summative school-wide. So we start those early, so our small groups are given extra time on the assessment as needed, or whatever accommodations are required through an IEP or a 504, which are different accommodation plans and individualized plans for education.
Wow, that's a lot goes into it that people have no idea.
There's a lot of moving parts to assessment.
There is, and I know somebody has to hold on to the test booklets and things, and all of that is you, probably.
A lot of times it is. I'm very lucky that I have my team that helps get all those materials organized, and it starts with Dr. Rivers at the Board of Education for us in Sylacauga City. It's top down, supportive. So that's helpful.
Right. And so testing, not in kindergarten and first, but second through 12th grade. I guess.
Well, so
different kinds of testing.
Our kindergarten and first graders, I'm sure they don't escape the testing bubble completely.
Well,
but as far as
with their teacher,
yes, and as far as our state assessments are concerned, yes, ACAP begins in second grade, goes through 8th grade, and then at the high school, they start doing more of those college preparatory or career preparatory assessments like pre-ACT, work keys, and then the ACT, and I'm sure that I'm missing some.
Oh, I know. Yeah, there's a whole list. Gosh,
right.
yes.
That's not my wheelhouse.
One thing I forgot to ask you, you keep saying the ACAP test. What is ACAP?
It's the Alabama Comprehensive Assessment Program, so it's an acronym, and it includes, it's kind of the umbrella. So ACAP summative is technically the assessment that we give in the spring, but ACAP is the umbrella of assessment.
Okay. So these all come from the state?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So, wow. There's a lot that goes into testing there, probably. We do not know, but that's great. Well, listen, we're going to pause for another commercial break, and we'll be right back and talk some more with Kate.
Coosa Valley Medical Center, one of the top 10 hospitals in Alabama, is also Sylacauga's largest employer. Services from the emergency room to surgery to cancer treatment to post-stroke care. You won't believe what's right in your backyard. It's Coosa Valley Medical Center in Sylacauga. So, if you're sick in Alabama, choose one of the top 10 hospitals in Alabama. That is Coosa Valley Medical Center.
There's a lot in life to smile about. Are loose dentures or missing teeth keeping you from enjoying the things you love? Don't miss out on enjoying life's precious moments. You can be you again with affordable mini dental implants. You can smile again, laugh out loud, and have your self-confidence back. Let us help you make it memorable.
I'm Dr. Rick Redmond. Call me today for a free consultation and give me the opportunity to change your life.
The all-new Marble City Pharmacy in Sylacauga is your destination for the highest quality health care. Our remodeled and expanded pharmacy gives us the space to serve more patients. We've added a drive-through window for those times when you don't feel like getting out of your vehicle. And we still offer delivery within city limits. We feature a full line of over-the-counter medications and supplements. And don't forget our stunning new gift department. New building, same great people. Marble City Pharmacy, here for life.
Welcome back to Library Connection. I'm talking with Kate Barton. She is the counselor at Pinecrest Elementary School. We're talking about school testing, which everybody seems to go, oh, testing, but it is a good thing. It's a good thing.
It is.
To how to help children
Yes.
in their specific areas. Now, they're tested in the spring, maybe April, or sometime in that range, March, April, May, and the test results don't come back for a while, do they?
We will get our third grade ELA scores back fairly quickly in the grand scheme of things in order to help us with our summer programming plans.
Oh, that's right.
And those students who do need to take the ACAP supplemental assessment. Right. So we do get those back a little bit earlier, but we will receive all of those assessments results over the summer. In preparation for the following school year.
Okay. Well, I know, I remember as a parent getting that little form, which it may be not the same test now,
Very
but the form
similar.
that tells where your child is reading and math and so all those. How do we interpret that?
So all of the score reports that come back that we send home from the school do have some pretty detailed interpretation information for parents, but we are always available to help interpret those scores. Generally speaking, you'll see a result of level 1, 2, 3, or 4, and that's an indicator of their proficiency level.
Okay.
So we would consider levels 3 and 4 to be proficient, while levels 1 and 2 indicate the need for additional support. You know, it's not back to the days of this is your student's reading level like we were discussing earlier.
Yes.
You know, it does help us to determine, you know, what skills they've mastered and things like that. It does provide some domain scores to give the parents a little more information about how that score, you know, arrived. And it does give us that percentile rank score like our old assessments used to. And that just allows the parents to know where their student falls as compared to other students in their grade level. Not necessarily at our school, but statewide.
Statewide, okay, good, which speaks to the school system, everything in the parents.
Yes, the nice thing about ACAP as well that is to be noted is that we do receive a growth score, which I prefer to look at, and a lot of teachers do as well, and it takes a group of students that all scored similarly on the previous grade level. So take 50, for example. It takes all of third graders who scored a 50 on the math, and then it compares their scores and it gives you a percentile, and it tells you that your student grew more than 40% of students, or 50 or 60. So growth is very important.
Right. That is wonderful because it's not all about that number. It's about, have you improved? Have you learned? Are the things we're doing, are they working?
Right.
That's
yes.
great.
And it gives you a little bit more of an individualized, tailored approach to it.
That's great. I know back in the day, you know, I would hear, you would get your child's test results and somebody would say, oh, my child's in the 4th grade, but they read on a 9th grade level. That doesn't necessarily mean they're as smart as a 9th grader. They haven't been exposed to the things as far as in school.
We don't really get a grade level reading score like that on the ACAP. We are able to share some more information about that with the iReady scores throughout the school year, but like you said, it's more of an indicator, not a definitive answer.
Wow, well that's great. And I know we talked about this. Do standardized tests accurately measure a student's full capabilities?
And I think that was probably my favorite question.
Oh, good.
Because, you know, a lot of students put a lot of pressure on themselves, parents do. But it is an achievement assessment. So it does indicate grade level academic proficiency. Period. It is not an intellectual assessment.
All right.
So
not your IQ score.
No, it doesn't reflect a student's full range of their intellectual abilities. It doesn't take into consideration, you know, students' interest. It doesn't take into consideration their creativity, their problem solving. It doesn't take into consideration their life skills or their social emotional skills. So It is simply an academic achievement test. It is not an indicator of a student's intellect.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. It's
It
not
does.
IQ, it's just this little section.
Right,
here.
on that day.
On that day is very important.
We all have off days, and that's why we strive to create that testing environment that's going to set a student up to be as successful as they can, because we do, like you said, we do know that score is very important. But we also are about the whole child. We're not about that child's academic performance on that one day, adding value or detracting. It's a snapshot. It's a snapshot that is an important indicator of their academic proficiency, but it is not the end-all be-all measure of the student's intellectual ability.
Yes, and teachers know that, and parents know that, and we just need to treat the children that way.
Yes.
You are so much more than just this score.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Wow, that is something. Now, I know you work with 3rd through 5th graders, but for high school students, you said, I know there's ACT, ACT, or the PSAT, I don't even remember, all those letters and numbers.
All the acronyms.
All of those things. And I know from when my girls were in high school, a lot of things are linked to that ACT score, and there's a lot of help given at the high school level. There are classes to help kids do their best, but that's linked to scholarships, things like that, or college exams.
Yes, it certainly can be. Thankfully, ACT is not in my realm of responsibility.
Good.
But, of course, working closely with our other school counselors, I know the importance that those counselors and administrators put on the ACT. But we are very lucky that there are still some major colleges and universities that are test optional, meaning they can apply with their GPA. So it's, again, like you said, for those students who may not test well, I feel certain that will eventually go away. So we will be going back to more of the traditional approach of looking at those test scores in addition to that GPA. But like you said, they're well prepared. There are outside programs, school-based programs that can help students prepare. But I think we're looking at that ACT Wall of Fame is pretty impressive at Sylacauga High School.
Oh my goodness! Yes, I'm 30 plus. I'm amazed.
Right?
I'm
It's
amazed.
amazing.
And I will throw out. I know for your students, they're young. They're not doing the ACT things like that. But on our website, there's Learning Express Library and Homework Alabama. Both of those have test prep resources, practice tests, and things like that. Homework Alabama just is help with homework. That's a whole other program we could do here. Well, gosh, Kate, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate
welcome.
this.
Thank you for having me.
I've learned a lot about school testing that I had forgotten or did not know, or things have changed. But and thank y'all for what you do for the students.
We love it, and we're always here to support our students and our community.
Well, thank you. And thank you for joining me on Library Connection.